If you want to put serious damage downrange in Minecraft, then you need a great bow. So, in this guide, I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. We will look at all bow enchantments, which ones are the best, and we're also gonna go over some very important facts about different arrow types that 99% of players are still getting wrong. So, let's jump right into it. Let's first of all start out with bow enchantments, where the first thing I want to talk about is the must-have enchantment, that being of course unbreaking, making it so that your bow lasts longer. In fact, with an unenchanted bow, you can fire 384 arrows, but if you have the maximum of unbreaking 3 on it, then it will last a whopping 4 times as long, with a maximum of 1,536 arrows fired before breaking. That's quite a lot, so definitely go for this enchantment. Up next, and probably what most of you are here for, let's take a look at how to deal more damage with another very powerful enchantment, that being, well, power as the name suggests. This one comes in 5 different tiers, and at the maximum of power 5, your bow, when fully charged, will deal a whopping 25 damage, that's 12.5 hearts. Just as a comparison, an unenchanted bow when fully drawn deals 11 damage, that's 5.5 hearts, so power 5 more than doubles your damage output. But even though 25 damage is quite the number, we're not even done yet. The next enchantment on our list would be Flame, which sets your arrows on fire and makes it that when you hit an enemy, they will also burn for 5 seconds and take in 1 additional damage per second, so over this 5-second time frame, they will lose an additional 2.5 hearts on top. And just as a quick side note here, if you fire this at an animal, then when they die, they will already drop cooked meat. Another enchantment that is kinda hit or miss on melee weapons, but very good on bows would be Punch. I mean, on swords it's called knockback, but I think you get what I'm saying here. Punch makes it that when you hit enemies with your arrows, they will be pushed back. This, I think, is very good for ranged weapons, because as a bow user, the last thing you want is that the enemy actually closes the distance to you and starts punching you in the face. You want to keep them away from you, and Punch helps you with doing just that. However, the last 2 enchantments on the list are an eternal debate in the Minecraft community, and that would be Mending versus Infinity. See, the thing with those enchantments is that they are mutually exclusive, so if you pick one for your bow, you can't have the other. That being said, Mending, as with every other tool in the game, makes it that when you gain experience, it's automatically gonna repair your bow, so essentially your bow will last forever. Whereas Infinity makes it that you're not gonna consume arrows when shooting. And that is exactly the question. Do you rather want to have a bow that never breaks, or a bow that does break, but therefore you never have to craft arrows? Just one very important thing to mention here is, the Infinity enchantment only works on normal standard arrows. Special arrows, like tipped versions of arrows, they will still be consumed even if you have an Infinity bow. That is also why I personally prefer Mending, because crafting normal arrows is really darn easy. That's just my opinion though, so why don't you let us know in the comments down below, which team are you in, Mending or Infinity? But in contrast to other weapons in the game, for bows, enchanting the perfect bow is only half of the way. The other thing you can do to make your bow even stronger is use special tipped arrows that have additional effects on them. To be fair though, there are a lot of tipped arrow effects in the game, but in my opinion, most of them are not all that useful for combat, so for this video, I only want to focus on those that actually help you fight your enemies. And the first one of them would be the Arrow of Weakness. This one reduces the target's attack damage by 4 for 11 seconds. This is quite nice because what happens here is, you damage the enemy with your arrow, and at the same time, the enemy then deals less damage against you, helping you survive in combat. Similarly, the Arrow of Slowness can also help you survive in combat, especially if you combine it with a Punch enchantment that throws the enemy back further, because what the Arrow of Slowness does is, it reduces the enemy's moving speed by 15% for 11 seconds, so especially in scenarios where you're swarmed by multiple enemies that try to move towards you, you can use this Arrow of Slowness with your Punch bow to not only push them back further, but also make it so that they need more time to actually get back to you. But you know what? I know why you're here. You want to deal the most damage, so let's talk about how to do that with the Arrow of Poison. This one is pretty self-explanatory, right? It puts the poison effect on an enemy for 5 seconds, meaning they will take more damage over time. This is great when you combine it with a bow that has flame on it, because then you will essentially deal even more damage over time. They will burn and take damage from that, and they're poisoned at the same time, grinding their health down even faster. And last, but definitely not least, we have the most misunderstood arrow in the entire game, and that will be the arrow of harming. Some people say it gives you extra damage, others say it doesn't work at all, and I say both statements are wrong. Here is how it actually works. What the arrow of harming does is, it makes sure that this arrow will always deal at least 12 damage, or in other words, 6 hearts. So what that means is, if you take a weak shot that would deal less than 12 damage, the arrow of harming is going to increase that to exactly 12. But on the other hand, if you have a fully charged shot with a power 5 bow or something that would deal 25 damage, then the arrow of harming is going to give you absolutely nothing. But you can actually take advantage of this in a little bit of a different way, and that is, if you go and just don't fully charge up the bow, but rather you spam arrows like crazy at close range, then the harming arrow actually becomes really strong, meaning you get an insane amount of damage per second. And of course, if you're fighting undead enemies, then you're not going to use the arrow of harming, but the arrow of healing instead, because you know, harming and healing are inverted for undead enemies, and all I said about the arrow of harming naturally applies to the arrow of healing too. And if you want to know how to get tipped arrows and which other effects are available, then don't miss my full potions guide right here. See you next time, and as always, craft well.